I want to talk about this book, Endure. Endure is a look at the mind-body connection and asks an intriguing question. Is it our bodies and our physical limits that are stopping us from increasing our performance, or is it all in our heads and that we actually can access another level in performance? And what can we do, if anything, to get past those limits? The book is written by Alex Hutchinson, who is a fellow Canadian with a PhD in physics from Cambridge, an accomplished runner, having twice qualified for the Canadian Olympic trials in the 1500 meter, and also a published writer, writing for publications such as Outside, Globe and Mail, New York Times, and Runner's World. Endure is broken into three parts. The first part is called Mind and Muscle, and it addresses this dichotomy. Is it our bodies or is it our brain that are really causing that limit in our performance? Part two is called Limits, where we talk about the various limits that humans face in ultimate endurance challenges. This includes pain, muscle, thirst, oxygen, heat, and fuel. And part three is called Limit Breakers, which is what can be done and what is currently being done to help us go beyond our limits. Throughout the book, Alex's story of Breaking 2, which is Nike's attempt of breaking the 2-hour marathon back in 2017, 2018, is woven throughout the book, which offers a great glimpse and a great example of trying to surpass physical limits as well as mental limits. Along with the Breaking 2 story, Alex offers a healthy number of real-world examples of human endurance going back to the 1800s and a look at the research side and the study of human performance, where it began and where it is today, or as of 2018 when the book was published. Now, here are 4 things that I took away when I read the book Endure. Number 1, there are some inspirational, driven, and likely crazy people out there in the world. Journeys across the Antarctic by foot, climbing Everest without oxygen tanks, diving 335 feet underwater on a single breath. The fact that people have dreamed up these challenges and attempted them, and often reattempted them because they probably failed the first time, if it didn't kill them. This shows us that whether or not we want to do these challenges ourselves, they are possible, which is pretty awesome. On the flip side of that, a lot of look at the researchers and the scientists who push the field of human performance forward are equally inspirational, driven, and crazy. The imagination to create hypotheses about why and how the brain and body work, and the lifelong devotion to testing and experimenting together and looking for answers. It also seems common through this book that these researchers either participate in the sport they're studying or are willing participants for their own studies. Takeaway number 2, to be an elite performer in any field, you probably need both elite genetics or physical performance traits and an elite mindset. There once was a time where Olympic athletes were mostly average looking and all had similar heights, weights, and builds. But if you watch the Olympic opening ceremony, you're going to see that athletes come in all different shapes, sizes, and proportions nowadays. Ranging from 5'0" to 7'2", we now find that there are certain body types that are better designed for certain sports. While weightlifters benefit from shorter limbs, swimmers benefit from longer limbs. While basketball players benefit from being tall, gymnasts and divers probably benefit from being smaller. But just because we're able to select people for their perfect proportions and their freak-like genetics, that does not guarantee that they are going to succeed and be elite at the sport that they participate in. Training the brain plays an incredibly large role in shaping top performers, and that training comes from the tens of thousands of reps that they have doing their sport, understanding their body in such a intimate way, and knowing every edge, every corner of their field, of their court, of whatever surface that they compete in. It also comes from the experience of winning and success, and from the experience of losing and setbacks. Athletes can interpret these experiences very differently, and an elite athlete is able to take all of these experiences and offer their top performance whenever push comes to shove. Takeaway number 3, competition can bring out the best in us. Come race day, even elite performers who have trained hard for months or even years to get where they are can still see a 1 to 3% performance boost on race day. Now, it's not that they were intentionally holding back in training. They probably wanted to push their performance to get the best result possible in training so they can put that forth in competition. But the rush of competition, of seeing someone beside you in the crucial moments of a race, or chasing you from behind or in front of you that you have to chase after, can get the brain to squeeze that last little bit out of the body that it wasn't willing to give up during your training. And lastly, my takeaway number 4 is that listening to your body isn't always the best advice, because it isn't always the body that you are listening to. When I get a craving for chocolate, it isn't necessarily my body saying that energy levels are low and I need to refuel. It's my brain asking for that lovely hit of endorphins to feel better about myself. And it's a similar thing for bodies pushing to the limits. Before we hit the absolute wall and risk physical failure, our brain has safeguards in place, or warning signals, that get us to slow down, cool down, and refuel. These safeguards are excellent at stopping us from killing ourselves from overexertion, but they can also get in the way and limit what we challenge ourselves to do. A great example from the book is the U-shaped racing profile, where races typically have a fast start, a slow middle, and a fast finish. If athletes were really racing as fast as they could, why could they still squeeze out a sprint at the finish? This goes the same for amateur racers and elite athletes alike. Was it actually that they felt like they were at their limit while their brain was holding back energy until the finish when they knew the end was near? So there's my 4 takeaways. I'm trying not to spoil anything in the book because I'd really like you to read through and enjoy and get all the takeaways yourself. I devoured it in a weekend and enjoyed it start to finish. And whatever your opinion on the mind-body relationship, I believe that this book is great for getting you to rethink what you believe is physically possible. Thanks so much for watching. If you've got a book that you would like to recommend for me to read and to summarize, I'd love to hear it. If you want more of my thoughts about Endure or any of the stuff that I talked about, also please drop me a comment. And if you could subscribe, like, share, all of that stuff would be awesome. So thanks for watching and see you soon.